Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to try something different. Instead of painting something new, we are going back to these Terminators that are already painted and we're going to try to improve them. These are the Leviathan box Terminators and we can also find them in the starter sets for Warhammer 40k. These miniatures are monopose, push fit, easy to assemble, fun to paint, and of course, as they are part of a starter set, they must be super generic. They must be as generic as possible. There's nothing really unique or special about these Terminators because, of course, you have to be able to buy one of the starter sets and customize those Space Marines into the chapter that you want. And that's why today we got all of these extra bits and we're going to try to give these Terminators a little bit more of personality. Okay, let's start with this gentleman, and of course let's take a look at how this miniature looks before we start. Aside from the extra bits, I will also try to make the bases a little bit more interesting, so I'm going to glue some battlefield rocks from the army painter. Okay, so let's continue with the next Terminator. Let's continue with this one, same process. It is the turn of the sergeant, so of course let's try to make him pop out a little bit more. Let's go for the last member of the squad, and actually I have to say that I'm very attached to this one because this one was the first Terminator that I ever painted. Now I'm going to use Azure Granite to cover all the battlefield rocks that I glued to the miniatures. Okay, so until now there's not much difference actually. I just took these Terminators, I glued some shields to them and a bunch of purity seals, so they look quite similar. So hopefully now while painting we're going to achieve a much better Black Templar vibe, and let's start painting those purity seals. For every single purity seal that I'm going to paint in this video, I'm going to follow the exact same formula. For the paper I'm going to use Wraithbone, and after that I will apply a shade with Agrax Earthshade. And then for the seal itself, I will use Corn Red, and after that I'm going to highlight that red with Evil Sun Scarlet. And the formula for all the gold elements that we're going to see in this video will be the same. First, I will apply a base color with Balthasar Gold, then I'm going to apply this shade again, Agrax Earthshade. Yes, I like this one a lot. And finally, I'm going to use a Retributor Armor to highlight the gold. Now we are going to add some heraldry, so I would like to put a red cross here. I would like to add some red to this specific part of the power armor too, and here we're going to do a white cross. So for the reds I'm going to use the same two that I was using before, Corn Red and Evil Sun Scarlet, and for the whites of the heraldry I'm going to use Corax White. Well, I consider that we achieved our goal with the first Terminator. This definitely looks like a proper Black Templar, and let's continue. And another member ready, let's continue with the next one. Aside from the colors that we already mentioned, this one will also have some yellows, so for that we are going to use Everland Sunset and Ideal Yellow. And here we have another member of the squad. And now let's continue with the heavy gunner. And another Terminator ready. And now to finish the squad, let's do our best with this sergeant. And this is it, this is almost the final result, because at some point I would like to go back at these Terminators, try to correct the highlights a little bit and check if there's some mistake or some part that needs to be improved. But for now, I think that we achieved what we wanted and these Terminators look much better. At least now we can see that these Terminators have much more personality, and for me that's very important because of course they are Terminators. So now let's take a look at each of them individually and talk about them a little bit more. At the moment of making this video, there's no specific Black Templar beats for Terminators, and aside from that, these ones are push-fit miniatures. So basically, I only was able to add some extra beats and try to paint the armor in a slightly different way. So as you can see, basically I just add a lot of nice shields, extra details like this thing here, like this bone that I add here, or extra purity seals. Basically, most of the beats are from either other kits like Sternguard Veterans, Crusader Squads, Black Templar upgrades, these kind of things. This is the first Terminator that I ever painted, so I didn't want to change him too much, so I tried to keep it simple. I just added this extra bit here. I painted this armor plate and I added this extra shield with a proper red cross with a black background. And then with all of them, I like these arms because we have like this huge plate here, and I thought that it would be nice to add things to differentiate them. And I think that it looks nice, it looks more interesting. Now it looks like a Black Templar from any angle. And then I also add some extra purity seals, this bone here, so I'm happy with the result. At this point, I would like to remind that according to the lore, every Black Templar Space Marine decorates his own power armor, and these ones are mighty warriors that they have been fighting in 1,000 battles, so they are like veterans, and that's why I really felt like it would be nice if each one of them was like unique in terms of... Yes, the color scheme is consistent. They have like the black power armor, one the white shoulder pad with a black cross, the other one black as well. But then I decided to add some extra details. So thanks to that, even if the color scheme is similar, all the details are completely different. And thanks to that, each one of them has its own personality. With this one, I went full Teutonic Order because I decided to have the yellows and black combined with the white, and I think that it looks very nice, very interesting. I like a lot how this one looks specifically. I think that he's very eye-catching because he's the only one in the unit that has a yellow. And basically I tried to keep this shield simple. Here I tried to do the cross. And here I was going to do a sword, but it's kind of like a cross, but I think it looks nice anyway. I tried to add some white to it. Here I have an empty space, but I think that I'm going to leave it like that for now. Maybe in the future I can change my mind. And of course I also added this extra bit here. So like that, I think that he looks much more interesting, much more unique. And I think that I like this one a lot. With this gentleman, I decided to decorate the knee as well, because this one is like in the front, it's very visible, this one is a little bit more hidden, and I decided to add something here, and I decided to have the same, to be consistent with all the heraldry. So I went basically with this specific color scheme, the white and the red, plus a little bit of black, and I did the same here. So I think that I like a lot how this one looks, and aside from that, of course, I added all these items here, and I also added this purity seal and an extra purity seal here. So thanks to that, this one looks very interesting as well. With the heavy gunner, I basically did the same like I did with the previous ones. I added extra details to the belt, I added a crusade shield here, and of course I added an extra shield to add some heraldry and things. And then with the power fist and this specific armor plate, I tried to do something similar. And yes, this one by itself was looking very nice, so I'm happy with the final result. Actually, for me the Sergeant was the biggest challenge, because for this specific miniature I don't have a nice arm to add some heraldry, so I tried to add extra details all over the miniature. Like for example, on the shoulder I have not only a small shield, but also I added the crusade seal, I added this extra purity seal here, I added another crusade seal here, and then I have like this specific bit from the Sergar veterans, and this hanging one, this one is from the aggressors. This was a leftover bit from the aggressors. I had to cut it a little, but it fit nicely, and I think that it looks interesting, it looks nice, and this is something that the Sergeant has and no one else has in the unit, which makes him a little bit more unique. And before I forget to mention it, I also added some extra details to the base. Now they look much more interesting, more natural, and I like a lot what I see here. But of course, for me the happiest part is that these Terminators, they don't look anymore like boring generic Terminators that came in the Leviathan box. Now they look like proper Black Templars. And the best part is that this was quite easy to achieve. We just needed to add some extra bits, paint a little bit some heraldry and things on the power armor, and now they look much better. So of course it's always nice to think that of course I can go back to my older miniatures, I can improve the painting, I can add some extra details and try to improve them, and now they are going to look much better than they used to be. So I'm very happy about that, and of course as always it was very nice to share this experience with all of you. And of course at this point I would like to remind you as always that if you like what I do, you would like to support my work and help me to continue improving, I invite you to check the link to my Patreon in the description. And this is it, this is the end of the video. These are my old Black Templar Terminators with a little bit more of personality, and of course I invite you to let me know in the comments what you think about these miniatures. And if you're still here and you enjoyed the video, please consider giving me a like and subscribing. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.